Right now, 92 million people are waiting for motivation that will never arrive. And that waiting is destroying them. Here is the truth nobody wants to tell you. Motivation is not your friend. Motivation is a visitor. It shows up unannounced, stays for a few hours, and disappears without warning. You cannot build a life on visitors. You cannot construct an empire on guests who leave whenever they feel like it. Yet this is exactly what most people try to do. They wait. They hope. They bargain with themselves, promising that tomorrow they will finally feel ready. Tomorrow never comes. The feeling never arrives. And another year passes with nothing to show for it. If you have ever started a fitness program on Monday and quit by Thursday, this is why. If you have ever bought a course, felt inspired for 72 hours, then never opened it again, this is why. If you have ever set a New Year's resolution and abandoned it before February, this is exactly why. You were not broken. Your willpower was not defective. You were simply building on the wrong foundation. You were waiting for motivation to carry you. And motivation does not carry anyone. It visits, then it leaves. Stop for a moment and consider this. A study published in the Journal of Consumer Psychology tracked over 10,000 people who set specific goals for personal change. The researchers followed them for 2 years. Do you want to know what they found? 92% failed. Not 50%, not 70%. 92% of people who genuinely wanted to change their lives could not sustain the change beyond a few months. The researchers dug deeper. They wanted to understand the difference between the 8% who succeeded and the 92% who failed. The answer was not intelligence. It was not resources. It was not even desire. The difference was this: the 8% did not rely on motivation. They built systems. This is where everything changes for you. You have been told your entire life that you need to get motivated first. Feel the fire, then take action. Find your why, then execute. Get inspired, then move. This sequence is backwards. It is neurologically, psychologically, and practically backwards. And following this backward sequence is the reason you keep failing. Here is what the research actually shows. Neuroscientists at MIT's Picower Institute for Learning and Memory conducted a landmark study in 2019 examining the relationship between action and motivation. They discovered something that contradicts everything mainstream self-help teaches. The brain does not work by feeling first and acting second. The brain works by acting first and feeling second. Movement precedes emotion. Action generates motivation, not the other way around. Read that again. Action generates motivation, not the other way around. This means every time you sit around waiting to feel ready, you are doing the exact opposite of what your brain needs. You are waiting for a chemical state that only arrives after movement. You are standing at the finish line hoping to feel like running, when the feeling of running only comes from running. This is why motivation feels so random, so unreliable, so maddeningly inconsistent. You have been trying to create an output without providing the input. Now let me show you the difference between people who transform their lives and people who stay stuck forever. Average people wake up and ask themselves how they feel. They check their emotional temperature before deciding whether to act. If they feel good, they might go to the gym. If they feel tired, they skip it. If they feel inspired, they might work on their project. If they feel drained, they scroll their phones instead. Their actions are held hostage by their fluctuating emotional states. They are passengers in their own lives, constantly reacting to internal weather they cannot control. Elite performers operate on a completely different system. They wake up and they execute. They do not ask how they feel. They do not negotiate with their emotions. They do not wait for permission from their mood. They have a system, and the system runs regardless of feelings. Whether they feel motivated or not is irrelevant. The system does not care about feelings. The system only cares about execution. This is not about being superhuman. This is not about having more willpower than other people. Elite performers do not have more willpower. They use less willpower. They have engineered their lives so that the right actions require almost no willpower at all. They have made success the path of least resistance. And they did this by abandoning the motivation myth entirely. You might be thinking that surely motivation matters sometimes. Surely there are moments when feeling inspired helps you perform better. And yes, when motivation shows up, It can amplify your efforts. But here is the critical distinction. You can welcome motivation when it visits without depending on motivation to survive. A house can enjoy sunlight without requiring sunlight to stand. The foundation must be something more reliable. The foundation must be structure. The foundation must be systems. The foundation must be habits so small, so automatic, so embedded in your identity that they run whether you feel like it or not. This is what many habits are actually about. They are not about making things easy because you are weak. They are about engineering a system where success becomes automatic, where your weaker self has no room to negotiate, where action happens before your brain has time to generate excuses. The average person tries to use motivation as fuel. They fill their tank with inspiration and drive until the tank runs empty. Then they sit on the side of the road wondering why they stopped moving. Elite performers do not use motivation as fuel. They use systems. Systems do not run out. Systems compound. Systems get stronger the longer they operate. And systems do not care whether you woke up feeling ready. You have been playing the wrong game. You have been trying to win a motivation lottery that almost no one wins. Starting today, you stop gambling and start engineering. But here is what you need to understand before we go any further. Knowing that motivation is unreliable is not enough. You have probably known this for years. The question is not whether motivation is the answer. The question is what replaces it. What do you build when you stop building on feelings? What do you rely on when you stop relying on inspiration? The answer will disturb you, because it requires you to confront something most people spend their entire lives avoiding. It requires you to take action before you feel ready. It requires you to move before you have permission. And it requires you to accept that the version of you who waits for motivation must die for the version of you who executes to be born. In the next chapter, you will learn exactly how action creates the motivation you have been waiting for. You will understand the neurological sequence that top performers exploit every single day. And you will discover why moving first, even when you do not feel like it, is the only path to becoming someone who no longer needs to feel like it. Stop waiting. The motivation is not coming, but something better is. Chapter 2. Action precedes emotion. For 63 years, psychologists had it completely backwards. And that mistake cost millions of people their potential. In 1884, William James proposed something radical. He suggested that we do not run from a bear because we feel afraid. We feel afraid because we run. The body moves first. The emotion follows. For over a century, this idea was debated, dismissed, and largely ignored by mainstream psychology. People wanted to believe that feelings come first. It felt intuitive. It felt right. But feeling right and being right are not the same thing. And in 2012, a team of researchers at Columbia University finally proved what James suspected all along. Action precedes emotion. Movement creates feeling. Your body leads, and your mind follows. This is not philosophy. This is neuroscience. And understanding it will change everything about how you approach your days. Here is what the Columbia study revealed. Researchers placed participants in two groups. The first group was told to wait until they felt motivated before completing a series of tasks. The second group was instructed to begin the tasks immediately, regardless of how they felt. The results were not even close. The group that acted first reported significantly higher levels of motivation, energy, and satisfaction after completing the tasks. The group that waited for motivation reported feeling stuck, frustrated, and less motivated than when they started. Waiting for motivation did not increase motivation. It decreased it. Action was the generator. Inaction was the drain. Think about what this means for your life. Every morning you have spent lying in bed, waiting to feel energized enough to get up, you were actively draining your energy. Every project you postponed because you did not feel inspired, you were actively killing your inspiration. Every workout you skipped because you were not in the mood, you were ensuring that the mood would never arrive. You were not conserving energy by waiting. You were hemorrhaging it. The average person lives in a prison built from a false sequence. They believe the chain of events works like this. First I feel motivated, then I take action, then I get results. This sequence feels logical. It feels natural. It is also completely wrong. The actual sequence confirmed by decades of behavioral research, works like this. First I take action, then I feel motivated, then I get results. The feeling does not precede the movement. The feeling is produced by the movement. Stanford neuroscientist Andrew Huberman has explained this mechanism in detail. When you initiate physical action, your brain releases a cascade of neurochemicals, including dopamine, norepinephrine, and adrenaline. These chemicals create the sensation we call motivation. But here is the critical point. The chemicals are released in response to movement. They are not released in anticipation of movement. Your brain does not give you motivation so that you will act. Your brain gives you motivation because you acted. The reward comes after the behavior, not before. This is why sitting around visualizing success does not work for most people. Visualization without action is just fantasy. Your brain knows the difference. When you visualize running but do not run, your brain does not release the chemicals associated with running. When you imagine working on your project but do not work, your brain does not generate the focus and drive associated with working. The neurochemistry of motivation requires actual physical movement to activate. No movement, no chemicals. No chemicals, no motivation. It really is that simple. Now watch how this plays out in real life. The average person wakes up tired. They check their phone, scroll for 15 minutes, and assess how they feel. They decide they are not ready yet. They need more time, more coffee, more something. They wait. 20 minutes pass, 30 minutes, an hour. They still do not feel ready because waiting does not create readiness. Eventually, they drag themselves into action, but by then half the morning is gone and their energy is lower than when they started. They have trained their brain that delay is the default, and the brain, being efficient, gets very good at delaying. Elite performers operate on the inverse principle. They wake up and they move. Not because they feel like moving. They move specifically because they do not feel like it. They understand that the feeling is downstream from the action, so they put the action upstream. They get up, they start, and within minutes their neurochemistry shifts. The motivation they were supposed to wait for arrives after the fact. But it arrives. It always arrives. Because movement summons it. There is a name for this phenomenon. Psychologists call it behavioral activation. It is one of the most effective treatments for depression, anxiety, and chronic procrastination. The protocol is simple. Do not wait to feel better before you act. Act, and you will feel better. Do not wait to feel confident before you speak. Speak, and confidence will follow. Do not wait to feel ready before you begin. Begin, and readiness will emerge from the beginning. This is not motivational fluff. This is clinical psychology backed by over 400 peer-reviewed studies. Behavioral activation works because it aligns with how the brain actually functions. It stops fighting human neurology and starts leveraging it. Consider what this means for your relationship with action. You have been waiting for permission. You have been waiting for some internal green light that signals you are ready to move. That green light does not exist. It was never going to flash. The signal you have been waiting for only turns on after you start driving. You have been parked at the intersection, waiting for a light that only activates in motion. The average person asks, "How do I feel?" Then they decide whether to act based on the answer. Elite performers ask, "What needs to be done?" Then they do it, knowing the feeling will catch up. This is not about ignoring your emotions. This is about understanding the sequence. Emotions are real. Emotions matter. But emotions are outputs, not inputs. They are the result of behavior, not the cause of behavior. When you treat emotions as causes, you become a hostage. When you treat emotions as effects, you become free. Here is a practical way to test this today. Choose one small action you have been avoiding, something you have been waiting to feel ready for. Now do it immediately. Do not think. Do not assess your emotional state. Just move. Start the task for 60 seconds. That is all. 60 seconds of pure action without negotiation. Watch what happens inside you. Notice how the resistance begins to dissolve once you are in motion. Notice how the motivation you were waiting for starts to appear after you started. This is not magic. This is neuroscience. This is how your brain has always worked. You just never knew. You now understand the sequence. Action first, emotion second. You understand that waiting for motivation is the same as waiting for a bus that never comes. You understand that movement is the generator and stillness is the drain. But there is a problem. Even knowing this, your brain will still resist. Every time you try to initiate action, something inside you will push back. There will be friction. There will be negotiation. There will be a voice that says not now, not yet, maybe later. This resistance is not weakness. This resistance is neurology. Your brain is designed to conserve energy, to avoid uncertainty, to maintain the status quo. And that design will fight you every single time you try to change. So how do you win against a brain that is engineered to resist change? How do you initiate action when every neural pathway is screaming at you to stay still? The answer is not more willpower. The answer is less resistance. And in the next chapter, you will learn exactly how to make any habit so small, so microscopic, so absurdly easy, that your brain cannot generate enough resistance to stop you. The runway is about to get very, very short. Chapter 3: The 2-Minute Runway. There is a secret that elite performers have been using for decades, and the self-help industry has been actively hiding it from you. The secret is this: they do not rely on discipline. They do not summon heroic willpower. They do not grit their teeth and force themselves through resistance. Instead, they do something far more intelligent. They make the resistance irrelevant. They engineer their habits to be so small, so microscopic, so laughably easy, that the brain cannot generate enough friction to stop them. This is the 2-minute runway, and once you understand it, you will never struggle to start again. Your brain has a built-in security system. Neuroscientists call it the amygdala response. Every time you attempt something new, something challenging, something that requires effort, your amygdala scans for threats. Change is a threat. Effort is a threat. Uncertainty is a threat. And when threats are detected, your brain floods your system with resistance. This resistance shows up as procrastination, as excuses, as the sudden urge to check your phone, as the feeling that you should probably do this later when you are more prepared. This is not laziness. This is neurology. Your brain is doing exactly what it evolved to do. It is protecting you from perceived danger by keeping you in familiar patterns. Here is the problem. The size of the resistance is proportional to the size of the task. When you tell yourself you need to work out for an hour, your brain calculates the energy expenditure and triggers massive resistance. When you tell yourself you need to write 3,000 words, your brain anticipates the cognitive load and throws up walls. When you commit to meditating for 30 minutes, your brain sees 30 minutes of unfamiliar stillness and panics. Big tasks create big resistance. This is why ambitious people fail more often than they should. Their ambition becomes their obstacle. They set targets so large that their own neurology defeats them before they begin. But the inverse is also true. Small tasks create small resistance. Tiny tasks create almost no resistance at all. And tasks that are small enough, microscopic enough, absurdly easy enough, can slip past your brain's defense system entirely. Dr. B.J. Fogg at Stanford University has spent 20 years studying this phenomenon. His research at the Behavior Design Lab has trained over 40,000 people to build habits that actually stick. And his core finding contradicts everything mainstream self-help teaches. According to Fogg's research, the key to lasting behavior change is not motivation. It is not willpower. It is not accountability or goal setting or vision boards. The key is making the behavior so small that it requires almost no motivation to execute. Fogg calls this the 2-minute rule. Any habit you want to build should take less than 2 minutes to complete in its initial form. Want to start a reading habit? Do not commit to reading a chapter. Commit to reading 1 page. Want to build a meditation practice? Do not commit to 20 minutes. Commit to 3 breaths. Want to exercise consistently? Do not commit to a full workout. Commit to putting on your shoes. That is it. Just the shoes. The behavior must be so easy that saying no feels more ridiculous than saying yes. This sounds too simple. It sounds almost insulting. You are an ambitious person. You have big goals. You want real transformation, not baby steps. And that mindset is exactly why you have been failing. Watch the difference between how average people and elite performers approach behavior change. The average person sets ambitious targets. They decide to meditate for 30 minutes every morning. Day 1, they manage 22 minutes and feel frustrated. Day 2, they manage 15 minutes and feel like a failure. Day 3, they do not feel like starting because they already associate meditation with falling short. By day 5, the habit is dead. They tried to climb a mountain before they could walk across the room. Their ambition crushed them. The elite performer starts microscopic. They commit to 1 minute of meditation. Just 1 minute. The first day, they do 90 seconds and feel like a champion. The second day, they do 2 minutes and feel unstoppable. By day 5, they are doing 5 minutes without any internal negotiation. By day 30, they are meditating for 20 minutes and it feels automatic. They did not climb the mountain on day 1. They built a staircase, and now they climb without thinking. This is the 2-minute runway. You do not need a long runway to take off. You need a runway so short that taking off requires almost no fuel. The fuel is willpower. The runway is habit size. Shorten the runway, and you need less fuel. Shorten it enough, and you barely need any fuel at all. This is how you become consistent when you have never been consistent before. Now here is the part most people miss. The 2-minute version is not the goal. The 2-minute version is the gateway. You are not committing to reading 1 page for the rest of your life. You are using 1 page to bypass initial resistance. Once you are in motion, continuing is far easier than starting. The hardest part of any run is the first step out the door. The hardest part of any writing session is the first sentence. The hardest part of any workout is putting on the shoes. The 2-minute rule gets you past the hardest part. After that, momentum takes over. A study published in the European Journal of Social Psychology found that it takes an average of 66 days for a new behavior to become automatic. But here is what most people miss from that study. The behaviors that became automatic fastest were the smallest behaviors. The participants who committed to tiny actions reached automaticity in as few as 18 days. The participants who committed to large actions often never reached automaticity at all. They quit before the habit could form. Size matters, and smaller is almost always better. Think about the habits you have tried to build in the past. How many of them failed because you started too big? How many gym memberships died because you committed to 5 days a week instead of 1? How many journals sit empty because you committed to writing 3 pages instead of 3 sentences? How many courses remain unfinished because you committed to an hour a day instead of 10 minutes? You were not undisciplined. You were overcommit. You gave your brain too much to resist, and your brain won every time. Starting today, you shrink everything. Whatever habit you want to build, cut it in half. Then cut it in half again. Then ask yourself if you can cut it one more time. The goal is not to find a comfortable starting point. The goal is to find an embarrassingly small starting point. A starting point so easy that your brain does not even register it as a threat. A starting point that makes resistance impossible. 1 push-up, 1 page, 1 minute, 1 sentence, 1 rep, 1 breath. This is not about lowering your standards. This is about raising your consistency. Because consistency beats intensity every single time. The person who does 1 push-up every day for a year will be in better shape than the person who does 100 push-ups once and never again. The person who writes 1 sentence daily will finish more books than the person who writes 5,000 words once and burns out. Small and consistent defeats big and sporadic. Always. You now have the runway. You know how to make any habit too small to fail. You know how to bypass the brain's resistance by shrinking the target until resistance becomes irrelevant. You know that the 2-minute version is not the destination, but the doorway. But there is still a critical vulnerability in your system. Every single day, you face a moment that will either reinforce your discipline or demolish it. This moment happens before you are fully awake, before you have made any conscious decisions, before your rational mind has come online. It happens in the first 5 seconds after your alarm goes off. And how you handle those 5 seconds determines who you become. The snooze button is waiting, and it is time to go to war. Chapter 4: The Snooze Button War. Every morning, before you are even conscious, you are already losing a war. The battlefield is your bed. The enemy is a small button within arm's reach. And the outcome of this battle, fought in the fog between sleep and waking, determines the trajectory of your entire day. This is not metaphor. This is not exaggeration. This is neurological fact. The first decision you make each morning creates a template that your brain follows for every decision after. When the first battle and winning becomes easier. Lose the first battle and losing becomes your default. The snooze button is not a harmless convenience. It is a referendum on your self-respect. And every time you hit it, you vote against yourself. Let me show you what happens inside your brain when that alarm goes off. The moment sound penetrates your sleep, your prefrontal cortex begins to activate. This is the part of your brain responsible for executive function, decision-making, and impulse control. But here's the problem. The prefrontal cortex is the last part of your brain to fully wake up. It takes approximately 15 to 30 minutes after waking for this region to reach full operational capacity. Meanwhile, your limbic system, the emotional and instinctual part of your brain, is already fully online. It was running all night, and it has one message for you: stay in bed. This creates an unfair fight. Your rational mind is groggy, sluggish, barely functional. Your emotional mind is sharp, desperate, and highly persuasive. It whispers that 5 more minutes will not matter. It argues that you deserve rest. It promises that you will definitely get up when the alarm goes off again. These are lies. Your limbic system does not care about your goals. It cares about immediate comfort. And in the fog of early morning, comfort almost always wins. Research from the American Academy of Sleep Medicine confirms what you already know from experience. People who use the snooze button report higher levels of fatigue, lower levels of productivity, and significantly worse moods throughout the day compared to people who get up immediately. The snooze button does not give you more rest. It fragments your sleep architecture, prevents you from entering restorative sleep cycles, and leaves you feeling groggier than if you had simply gotten up when the alarm first sounded. You are not gaining energy by hitting snooze. You are borrowing energy from your future self and paying interest in brain fog. But the damage goes far deeper than fatigue. Every time you hit the snooze button, you are training your brain that your commitments do not matter. You set an alarm because you decided to wake up at a certain time. That alarm represents a promise you made to yourself. When you hit snooze, you break that promise. When you break that promise, you teach your brain that your word means nothing. And a brain that learns your word means nothing will stop taking your commitments seriously. This is why people who hit snooze also procrastinate more, follow through less, and struggle to build consistent habits. The snooze button is not an isolated behavior. It is a symptom of a deeper pattern, and it reinforces that pattern every single morning. Now watch the contrast between two types of people. The average person treats the alarm as a suggestion. When it sounds, they negotiate. They calculate how much time they really need. They bargain for just a few more minutes. They hit snooze once, twice, sometimes 5 or 6 times. By the time they finally drag themselves out of bed, they have already practiced losing half a dozen times. They have trained their brain that resistance works, that commitments are flexible, that the first answer can always be changed. They start every day with a losing streak, and that streak colors everything that follows. Elite performers treat the alarm as a command. When it sounds, they move. There is no negotiation, no calculation, no internal debate. The alarm is not a question. It is an order, and orders are followed. Within 5 seconds of the sound, their feet hit the floor. Not because they feel like getting up. They never feel like getting up. Nobody feels like getting up. They move because they have decided in advance that the snooze button does not exist in their world. They have removed negotiation from the equation entirely. And by winning this first battle before their rational mind is even online, they set a template of victory that their brain follows all day. This is what I call the 5-second window. Researcher Mel Robbins has documented this phenomenon extensively. You have approximately 5 seconds between the impulse to act and your brain's activation of resistance. In those 5 seconds, you can move before the excuses arrive. After 5 seconds, your limbic system floods you with reasons to stay still. The window is short. The window is brutal. But the window is real. And learning to move within that window is one of the most valuable skills you will ever develop. Here's the protocol. Tonight, before you sleep, place your alarm across the room. Not next to your bed, across the room. This removes the option of hitting snooze without getting up. When the alarm sounds tomorrow, you will have to physically stand and walk to turn it off. And once you are walking, the hardest part is over. You have already won. You have broken the gravitational pull of the bed. You have moved before your brain could manufacture resistance. The rest of the morning becomes easier because you started with a victory. Do not underestimate the power of this single change. A study conducted at the University of Nottingham found that morning routine consistency was the single strongest predictor of overall life satisfaction and goal achievement among the participants studied. Not intelligence, not resources, not connections. Morning routine consistency. The people who started their days with disciplined action carried that discipline into every other area of their lives. The people who started their days with negotiation and delay carried that pattern forward as well. Your morning is not just a morning. It is a blueprint, and the snooze button is the first line of that blueprint. Think about what you have been writing on that first line every day. If you have been hitting snooze, you have been writing, "I do not keep promises to myself." You have been writing, "Comfort matters more than commitment." You have been writing, "My goals can wait." These messages sink into your subconscious. They shape your self-image. They become the story you tell yourself about who you are. And that story determines what you believe is possible. Starting tomorrow, you rewrite the first line. You write, "When I say I will do something, I do it." You write, "I do not negotiate with my weaker self." You write, "My word to myself is sacred." These messages also sink into your subconscious. They also shape your self-image. They also become your story. But this story leads somewhere different. This story leads to a person who executes. You now understand the snooze button more. You understand that the first 5 seconds of your day are a referendum on your self-respect. You understand that winning the morning means winning the template your brain follows all day. You understand that the alarm is not a suggestion, but a command. But there is something deeper happening here. Every time you get up when you said you would, you are not just building discipline. You are casting a vote for a specific type of person, a vote for a specific identity. And these votes, accumulated over days and weeks and months, do not just change your behavior. They change who you are. In the next chapter, you will learn exactly how identity is formed through action. You will discover why every small habit is actually a ballot in an election you are running every single day. And you will understand why the person who shows up consistently, even in tiny ways, becomes someone entirely different from the person who waits for transformation to arrive. Your identity is under construction. Every action is a vote, and the polls are always open. Chapter 5: Identity Voting. You are not building habits. You are building a person, and every single action you take is a vote for the person you are becoming. This is the most important concept in this entire book. Miss this, and everything else becomes temporary. Understand this, and transformation becomes inevitable. The reason most habit changes fail is not because people lack discipline or motivation or information. The reason most habit changes fail is because people are trying to change what they do without changing who they are. They are trying to install new software on an old operating system, and the operating system always wins. Here's what I mean. When someone tries to quit smoking, they typically focus on the behavior. They say, "I am trying to quit smoking." They say, "I want to stop smoking." They say, "I am working on not smoking anymore." Notice the language. In every case, the person still identifies as a smoker. They are a smoker who is trying to stop. They are a smoker who wants to change. They are a smoker who is working on something. The identity remains intact. And when identity and behavior conflict, identity wins every single time. Now consider a different approach. Instead of saying "I am trying to quit smoking," the person says "I am not a smoker." Instead of saying "I want to stop," they say "I do not smoke." The behavior is the same, but the framing is entirely different. In the first case, the person is fighting against who they are. In the second case, the person has become someone for whom the behavior is simply not an option. The smoker trying to quit must resist temptation forever. The non-smoker does not experience temptation in the same way because smoking is not part of their identity. It is not a battle. It is an irrelevance. This is identity-based habit change. and it is the only form of habit change that lasts. Research from the University of Pennsylvania's Behavior Change for Good initiative confirms this principle. In a study of over 2,000 participants attempting to build exercise habits, the single strongest predictor of long-term success was not the type of exercise, not the time of day, not the accountability systems in place. The strongest predictor was whether participants saw themselves as exercisers. Those who adopted the identity of "I am someone who exercises" maintained their habits at nearly 3 times the rate of those who simply tried to exercise more. Same behavior, different identity, radically different outcomes. Your brain is constantly asking one question: what would a person like me do in this situation? This question runs beneath every decision you make. When you are offered dessert, your brain asks, what would a person like me do? When your alarm goes off, your brain asks, what would a person like me do? When you have the choice between working on your goals or scrolling your phone, your brain asks, what would a person like me do? The answer to that question depends entirely on who you believe yourself to be. Change the identity, and you change the automatic answer to every question. But here's where most people get stuck. They think identity change is something that happens through insight or revelation or some dramatic moment of transformation. They wait for the day they suddenly feel like a different person. They wait for the shift to arrive. It never does. Because identity is not changed through thinking. Identity is changed through evidence. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you are becoming. This is not poetry. This is cognitive science. Your brain forms beliefs about your identity based on the evidence it observes. When you see yourself going to the gym repeatedly, your brain concludes that you must be someone who goes to the gym. When you see yourself writing every day, your brain concludes that you must be a writer. When you see yourself keeping promises to yourself, your brain concludes that you must be someone whose word matters. The evidence comes first. The identity follows. This is why many habits are so powerful. They are not just about building consistency. They are about collecting identity evidence. Every time you do one push-up, you are casting a vote for being someone who exercises. Every time you write one sentence, you are casting a vote for being a writer. Every time you meditate for 1 minute, you are casting a vote for being someone who meditates. The votes are small, but the votes accumulate, and accumulated votes become unshakable identity. Watch how this plays out differently between average people and elite performers. The average person focuses on outcomes. They want to lose 20 pounds. They want to write a book. They want to run a marathon. They attach their identity to the destination. If they have not lost the weight yet, they are not a fit person. If they have not finished the book, they are not a writer. If they have not completed the marathon, they are not a runner. The identity is conditional on achievement. And because the achievement is far away, the identity never forms. They are always becoming, never being. And becoming without being creates no lasting change. Elite performers focus on votes. They do not ask whether they have achieved the outcome yet. They ask whether they showed up today. They ask whether they cast a vote today. Every single day that they show up, regardless of the size of the effort, they reinforce their identity. A writer is not someone who has written a book. A writer is someone who writes. A runner is not someone who has finished a marathon. A runner is someone who runs. The identity is not conditional on achievement. The identity is conditional on action, and action is available every single day. This shift in framing changes everything. When your identity is tied to outcomes, every day without the outcome feels like failure. When your identity is tied to actions, every day with action feels like success. The elite performer who writes one sentence today goes to bed feeling like a writer. The average person who wrote 5,000 words last month, but nothing today, goes to bed feeling like a fraud. Consistency of action creates consistency of identity. And consistency of identity creates permanent change. Here is the practical application. Stop asking what you want to achieve. Start asking who you want to become. Then ask what votes you need to cast today to become that person. If you want to become someone who is healthy, what vote can you cast today? Maybe it is one push-up. Maybe it is choosing water instead of soda. Maybe it is taking the stairs. The size of the vote does not matter. The act of voting matters. Each vote is a deposit in your identity bank. And the more deposits you make, the richer your identity becomes. You do not have to wait until you feel like a different person to act like a different person. You act like a different person, and the feeling follows. You cast votes before you believe you deserve to vote. You show up before you feel qualified to show up. And through showing up, through voting, through accumulating evidence, you become qualified. You earn the identity, not through wishing, through doing. Consider where you are right now. What identity have your recent actions been voting for? If you have been hitting snooze, you have been voting for someone who does not keep commitments. If you have been skipping workouts, you have been voting for someone who is not athletic. If you have been avoiding difficult tasks, you have been voting for someone who runs from challenges. These votes count. They have been shaping who you are. But the polls are not closed. You can start casting different votes today. Right now, this moment. Every action is a ballot. Every day is an election. And you are both the candidate and the voter. But knowing that identity is built through votes is not enough. You need to understand the mechanism of how votes accumulate into permanent change. You need to understand the neuroscience of identity formation and how repetition literally rewires who you are at a cellular level. You need the protocol that transforms scattered votes into an unshakable new self. In the next chapter, you will learn exactly how the brain constructs identity through repeated action. You will discover why showing up imperfectly is infinitely more powerful than waiting to show up perfectly. And you will understand why the shift from I wanna I am is the only shift that truly matters. The protocol is waiting, and it will change who you are. Chapter 6. The Identity Shift Protocol. Your brain is literally rewiring itself right now. The question is whether you are directing the construction or letting it happen by accident. Every thought you think, every action you take, every behavior you repeat is physically reshaping the neural architecture inside your skull. This is not self-help rhetoric. This is neuroscience. The brain you have today is not the brain you were born with. It is the brain you have built through decades of repeated patterns. And the brain you will have next year depends entirely on the patterns you repeat between now and then. You are not stuck with who you are. You are stuck with who you keep practicing to be. In 2000, a landmark study at University College London examined the brains of London taxi drivers. To earn their license, these drivers must memorize over 25,000 streets and thousands of landmarks in one of the world's most complex cities. Researchers discovered something remarkable. The hippocampus, the brain region responsible for spatial memory, was significantly larger in taxi drivers than in the general population. More importantly, the size of the hippocampus correlated directly with how long the driver had been working. Drivers with 20 years of experience had larger hippocampi than drivers with 5 years of experience. The brain had physically grown in response to repeated use. The neurons that fire together wire together. And what wires together becomes who you are. This principle is called neuroplasticity. It means your brain is not fixed. It is plastic. It can be molded, shaped, or formed. Every time you repeat a behavior, you strengthen the neural pathway associated with that behavior. The pathway becomes faster, more efficient, more automatic. What once required conscious effort becomes unconscious habit. What once felt forced becomes natural. What once seemed like acting becomes identity. Here is the mechanism. When you first attempt a new behavior, your brain treats it as unfamiliar. The neural signal travels slowly, inefficiently, requiring tremendous conscious attention. But with repetition, something changes. Your brain begins wrapping the neural pathway in a substance called myelin. Myelin is a fatty tissue that insulates nerve fibers and dramatically increases the speed of signal transmission. The more you repeat a behavior, the more myelin accumulates. The more myelin accumulates, the faster and more automatic the behavior becomes. This is why skills feel clunky at first and fluid later. This is why habits feel forced at first and natural later. You are literally building infrastructure inside your brain. The average person waits to feel like a different person before acting like a different person. They think identity shift is something that happens to them, not something they create. They wait for the moment when exercise feels natural, when writing feels effortless, when discipline feels automatic. That moment never arrives. Because the feeling of naturalness only comes after the repetition. They are waiting for myelin that has not been built yet. They are expecting infrastructure that has not been constructed. They have the sequence backwards. Elite performers understand that identity is earned through repetition, not revelation. They do not wait to feel like a writer before writing. They write, and the feeling follows. They do not wait to feel like an athlete before training. They train, and the identity emerges from the training. They show up before they feel qualified. They act before they feel ready. And through acting, through showing up, through relentless repetition, they build the myelin that makes the identity real. This is the identity shift protocol. It has 3 steps, and every step requires action, not insight. Step 1 is deciding who you want to become, not what you want to achieve, who you want to be. There is a critical difference. Wanting to lose weight is an outcome. Being someone who prioritizes health is an identity. Wanting to write a book is an outcome. Being a writer is an identity. Wanting to get stronger is an outcome. Being an athlete is an identity. The outcome is external and distant. The identity is internal and immediate. You can start being a writer today by writing 1 sentence. You cannot finish a book today. Focus on the identity, not the outcome. Step 2 is identifying the smallest vote you can cast for that identity. Remember, you are not trying to achieve the outcome immediately. You are trying to collect evidence. What is the smallest action that would make you feel like the person you want to become? If you want to be a reader, the smallest vote is reading 1 page. If you want to be someone who exercises, the smallest vote is 1 push-up. If you want to be someone who meditates, the smallest vote is 1 conscious breath. The vote must be so small that you cannot fail. Failure is not an option when the bar is on the ground. Step 3 is casting that vote every single day without exception. Not most days. Not when you feel like it. Every day. The power of identity formation comes from unbroken chains of repetition. A study from the University of Victoria found that people who performed a new behavior daily for 30 consecutive days were over 3 times more likely to maintain that behavior long-term compared to people who performed the same behavior the same number of times, but with gaps between sessions. The total repetitions were identical. The results were drastically different. Consistency builds myelin. Gaps eroded. Every day you skip is a vote against the identity you are trying to build. Here is what most people get wrong. They think that imperfect action is worse than no action. They believe that if they cannot do the habit fully, they should not do it at all. This is catastrophically wrong. Imperfect action is infinitely more valuable than perfect inaction. Showing up and doing 1 push-up on a day when you have no energy is more important than doing 100 push-ups on a day when you feel great. Because the 1 push-up maintains the chain. The 1 push-up casts the vote. The 1 push-up tells your brain that you are someone who shows up regardless of circumstances. The 100 push-ups on good days tell your brain nothing except that you perform when conditions are favorable. Anyone can perform when conditions are favorable. Your identity is not determined by your best days. Your identity is determined by your worst days. Who you are when you are tired, unmotivated, stressed, and overwhelmed is who you actually are. Everything else is performance. The identity shift protocol is designed for bad days. It is designed to be so small that you can execute it when you have nothing left. Because those executions, those tiny votes on terrible days, are the ones that forge unbreakable identity. Think about what this means for your transformation. You do not need perfect conditions. You do not need optimal energy. You do not need motivation or inspiration or the right mood. You need 1 small action, repeated daily, regardless of how you feel. That is the entire protocol. It sounds too simple because we have been conditioned to believe that meaningful change requires dramatic effort. It does not. Meaningful change requires consistent effort. And consistent effort is only possible when the effort is small enough to sustain. Right now, somewhere in your brain, there are neural pathways representing your current identity. Those pathways are thick with myelin, built over years of repeated patterns. You cannot delete those pathways overnight, but you can build new ones. You can start wrapping new behaviors in myelin today. You can begin constructing the infrastructure of a new identity with your very next action. The old pathways will not disappear immediately, but as the new pathways grow stronger, the old ones will weaken from disuse. You will not become a different person in a flash of insight. You will become a different person one vote at a time. You now have the protocol. You understand that identity is built through repetition, not revelation. You understand that showing up imperfectly beats waiting to show up perfectly. You understand that every vote counts and that bad days matter more than good days. But there is a trap waiting for you. A trap that has destroyed more transformations than laziness, more potential than procrastination, more dreams than self-doubt. This trap looks like ambition. It feels like drive. It sounds like purpose. And it will sabotage everything you are building if you do not see it coming. The trap is your goals. And in the next chapter, you will learn why the very targets you have been chasing might be the reason you have never caught anything. Goals are not your friend, and it is time to confront that truth. Chapter 7: Why Goals Are Killing You. 97% of people who set goals fail to achieve them. But here is the part nobody tells you. The 3% who succeed do not succeed because of their goals. They succeed despite them. This will be the most controversial chapter in this book. Everything you have been taught about success starts with goal setting. Write down your goals. Visualize your goals. Set SMART goals. Make your goals specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. This advice is everywhere. It is in every motivational seminar, every corporate training program, every self-help book on the shelf. And it is fundamentally flawed. Not because goals are useless. Goals have a purpose. But the purpose is far more limited than anyone wants to admit. And when you make goals the centerpiece of your transformation, you are building on a foundation that will crack under pressure. Let me show you why. Goals create a binary state of existence. You have either achieved the goal or you have not. You are either successful or you are failing. There is no middle ground. This binary framing creates a psychological trap. Until you reach the goal, you are in a constant state of not there yet. You are perpetually incomplete. You are always striving, never arriving. And this state of perpetual incompletion is exhausting. It drains motivation. It breeds frustration. It makes every day feel like failure because every day you wake up without the goal achieved is a day you have not succeeded. Research from the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology examined this phenomenon in a study of over 1,000 participants pursuing personal goals. The researchers found that goal-focused individuals reported significantly higher levels of stress, anxiety, and dissatisfaction during the pursuit phase compared to individuals who focused on process rather than outcome. More disturbingly, even among those who eventually achieved their goals, the satisfaction was short-lived. Within weeks of achievement, happiness levels returned to baseline. The goal created temporary elation followed by emptiness. The participants had spent months or years in a state of striving only to discover that arrival felt hollow. This is called the arrival fallacy. It is the false belief that achieving a specific goal will bring lasting happiness or fulfillment. You think that when you lose the weight, you will finally be happy. You think that when you get the promotion, you will finally feel successful. You think that when you finish the book, you will finally feel like a writer. But arrival does not work that way. Because the moment you arrive, the goal disappears. And when the goal disappears, so does your sense of purpose. You were so focused on the destination that you forgot to build a life that works without one. Here is the deeper problem with goals. Winners and losers often have the same goals. Think about that for a moment. Every Olympic athlete has the goal of winning gold. Only one wins. Every entrepreneur has the goal of building a successful company. Most fail. Every writer has the goal of finishing a book. Most never do. The goal does not differentiate the winners from the losers. Something else does. That something else is systems. A goal is the result you want to achieve. A system is the process that leads to results. Goals are about the destination. Systems are about the journey. Goals are set once and pursued. Systems are executed daily and refined. Goals end when achieved. Systems continue indefinitely. And this distinction makes all the difference. Watch how this plays out between average performers and elite performers. The average person sets a goal to run a marathon. They focus on the 26.2 miles in the future. Every training run is measured against that distant target. When progress feels slow, they get discouraged. When life interrupts training, they feel like failures. When the marathon finally arrives, they either achieve it and feel empty afterward, or they fail and feel crushed. The goal was a cliff. They either stood on top or fell off. The elite performer builds a system for running. They focus on showing up every day, regardless of distance. They run because runners run, not because a marathon is waiting. When progress feels slow, it does not matter because the goal is today, not someday. When life interrupts, they adapt the system and keep moving. When a marathon eventually arrives, it is a byproduct of the system, not the purpose of the system. And after the marathon, the system continues. There is no cliff. There is only the path. This is what James Clear means when he says you do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Your goals represent your aspirations. Your systems represent your reality. And reality always wins. You can dream about being fit while having no system for fitness. You can fantasize about wealth while having no system for earning or saving. You can wish for discipline while having no system for building it. The dreams change nothing. Only the systems create change. Here is another problem with goals that nobody discusses. Goals restrict happiness to a narrow window of achievement. If your goal is to lose 20 pounds, you have told your brain that you cannot be satisfied until those 20 pounds are gone. Every pound you lose before reaching 20 is still failure. You could lose 19 pounds and feel like you are failing because you have not hit the arbitrary number you selected. This is insanity. You have improved dramatically. You have transformed your health. But the goal framework makes you feel inadequate because you have not crossed an imaginary finish line. Systems work differently. A system for health says, I am someone who makes healthy choices. Every healthy choice is a win. Every workout is a win. Every nutritious meal is a win. There is no arbitrary finish line. There is only today's execution. And when today's execution is successful, you are successful. You do not have to wait months or years to feel like you are winning. You can win today. You can win every day. The system redefines success as showing up, not arriving. Consider the mathematics. If your happiness depends on achieving a goal, you might experience satisfaction for a few days or weeks per year when goals are achieved. The rest of the year is spent in the purgatory of not yet. But if your happiness depends on executing your system, you can experience satisfaction every single day that you execute. 365 opportunities for success versus a handful. The math is not even close. This does not mean goals are entirely worthless. Goals serve one useful function. They provide direction. If you do not know where you want to go, any path will take you there. Goals point you toward a destination. They help you choose which systems to build. But once the direction is set, the goal should fade into the background. The system should take center stage. You should think about your goal occasionally and think about your system constantly. Here is a practical reframe. Instead of setting a goal to write a book, build a system for writing daily. Instead of setting a goal to lose weight, build a system for making healthy choices. Instead of setting a goal to get promoted, build a system for delivering exceptional value. Instead of setting a goal to become disciplined, build a system for casting daily votes for discipline. The goal tells you where. The system gets you there. And only the system can keep you there after you arrive. You have been chasing goals your entire life. And chasing has left you exhausted, frustrated, and perpetually incomplete. Today, the chase ends. Not because you abandon ambition, but because you redirect ambition from destinations to processes. You stop asking, what do I want to achieve, and start asking what system would make achievement inevitable. You stop measuring yourself against distant targets and start measuring yourself against daily execution. You now understand why goals have been killing you. You understand that goals create binary failure states, restrict happiness, and disappear upon achievement. You understand that systems create daily wins, sustainable satisfaction, and permanent infrastructure. But understanding is not enough. You need to know exactly how to build a system that runs without constant supervision. You need architecture that makes success automatic, that removes willpower from the equation, that executes whether you feel like it or not. In the next chapter, you will learn exactly how to construct that architecture. You will discover how environment design trumps motivation every time. And you will understand why the person who builds the right system becomes unstoppable, while the person who chases goals remains forever stuck. Systems crush goals, and you are about to learn how to build systems that crush. Chapter 8: Systems over Goals. The most disciplined people you know are not using discipline. They have engineered their lives so that discipline becomes unnecessary. This is the secret hiding in plain sight. When you see someone who works out every day, you assume they have superhuman willpower. When you see someone who writes consistently, you assume they have extraordinary motivation. When you see someone who eats healthy, avoids distractions, and executes relentlessly, you assume they are fundamentally different from you. They are not. They have simply built different systems. And their systems do the heavy lifting that your willpower is struggling to carry. Willpower is a limited resource. This is not opinion. This is established science. In 1998, psychologist Roy Baumeister conducted a now famous experiment at Case Western Reserve University. Participants were brought into a room filled with the aroma of freshly baked cookies. Some were allowed to eat the cookies. Others were told to resist the cookies and eat radishes instead. Afterward, both groups were given an unsolvable puzzle to work on. The group that had to resist the cookies gave up on the puzzle 60% faster than the group that did not have to exercise self-control. Resisting the cookies had depleted their willpower, leaving less available for the puzzle. This phenomenon is called ego depletion. Every act of self-control draws from the same limited reservoir. When you use willpower to resist checking your phone, you have less willpower available to resist junk food. When you use willpower to force yourself to exercise, you have less willpower available to focus on work. When you burn willpower on one battle, you are weaker for every battle that follows. This is why discipline tends to collapse at the end of the day. By evening, your willpower tank is empty, and an empty tank cannot power anything. The average person tries to solve this problem by building more willpower. They think discipline is like a muscle that can be strengthened through sheer repetition. And while there is some truth to this, it misses the larger point. The goal is not to need more willpower. The goal is to need less. The goal is to design your environment, your schedule, your life, so that the right actions require almost no willpower at all. This is what systems thinking actually means. You stop relying on internal resources and start leveraging external architecture. Here is the principle that changes everything. You do not control your behavior as much as your environment controls your behavior. You think you make choices freely. You do not. Your choices are shaped, nudged, and often determined by the context in which they occur. A study published in the New England Journal of Medicine found that hospital cafeteria workers could dramatically change what employees ate simply by rearranging the food placement. When water was placed at eye level and soda was placed in harder-to-reach locations, water consumption increased by 25%. The employees had not changed. Their willpower had not changed. Their environment had changed, and the environment controlled the behavior. This is why elite performers obsess over environment design. They do not trust themselves to make good choices in bad environments. They know that if junk food is in the kitchen, they will eventually eat it. They know that if the phone is next to the bed, they will eventually check it. They know that if distractions are easily accessible, they will eventually be distracted. So they remove the junk food. They put the phone in another room. They block distracting websites. They do not rely on willpower to resist temptation. They eliminate the temptation entirely. Watch the difference between how average performers and elite performers approach the same challenge. The average person wants to eat healthier. They stock their kitchen with healthy food, but keep the cookies in the cabinet for special occasions. Every day, they see the cookies. Every day, they must resist the cookies. Sometimes they succeed. Sometimes they fail. But every single day, they burn willpower on the resistance. Eventually, their willpower runs out. They eat the cookies. They feel guilty. They resolve to be stronger next time. The cycle repeats endlessly. The elite performer wants to eat healthier. They remove the cookies from the house entirely. They do not keep junk food for special occasions because they know special occasions become every occasion. When the craving hits, there is nothing to resist because there is nothing to eat. The decision was made once, at the grocery store, and never needs to be made again. No daily willpower expenditure. No eventual collapse. The environment handles what willpower cannot. This is the automatic success architecture. You make one decision that eliminates the need for 1,000 future decisions. You spend willpower once, strategically, to design an environment where willpower becomes irrelevant. This is working smarter, not harder. This is engineering, not grinding. Here is how to apply this principle systematically. First, identify the behaviors you want to increase. Then make those behaviors as easy and obvious as possible. If you want to read more, put a book on your pillow so you see it before bed. If you want to exercise in the morning, lay out your workout clothes the night before. If you want to drink more water, keep a filled water bottle on your desk at all times. Reduce the friction between you and the desired behavior to nearly zero. Second, identify the behaviors you want to decrease. Then make those behaviors as difficult and invisible as possible. If you want to watch less television, unplug the TV after each use and put the remote in a drawer. If you want to spend less time on social media, delete the apps from your phone and only access them through a web browser. If you want to eat less sugar, keep it out of your home entirely. Increase the friction between you and the undesired behavior until the behavior becomes more trouble than it is worth. Third, design your environment for your worst self, not your best self. Your best self has willpower. Your best self can resist temptation. Your best self makes good choices under pressure. But your best self is not always present. At 2 in the morning, when you cannot sleep, your best self is gone. After a stressful day when you are emotionally drained, your best self is gone. When you are tired, hungry, angry, or lonely, your best self is gone. Design for the version of you that has nothing left, because that version will show up. And that version needs a system that works without effort. Consider the mathematics of this approach. If you rely on willpower, you must make the right choice every single time. One failure can derail days or weeks of progress. But if you rely on systems, the right choice is made automatically. You do not need perfect willpower. You need a perfectly designed environment. And a perfectly designed environment can compensate for wildly imperfect willpower. This is what separates people who achieve lasting change from people who achieve temporary motivation. The temporary group tries harder. The lasting group designs smarter. The temporary group fights against their environment. The lasting group shapes their environment to fight for them. The temporary group burns out because willpower is finite. The lasting group persists because systems are renewable. You now understand why systems crush goals. Goals tell you what you want. Systems make what you want automatic. Goals require constant motivation. Systems require one-time design. Goals create pressure every day. Systems create progress every day. The person who sets a goal is hoping for change. The person who builds a system is engineering change. Hope is not a strategy. Engineering is. But there is one more element that makes systems truly unstoppable. One force that takes small daily actions and transforms them into massive results. One mathematical principle that most people understand intellectually but fail to leverage practically. This force is why someone who improves by just 1% each day will become 37 times better in a year. This force is why small habits lead to big outcomes. This force is the compound effect. And in the next chapter, you will learn exactly how to weaponize it. The 1% rule is not a metaphor. It is a weapon, and you are about to learn how to use it. Chapter 9, the 1% weapon. 1% seems like nothing, but 1%, compounded daily, is the most powerful force available to a human being. Here is the mathematics that will rewire how you see progress forever. If you improve by just 1% every day for 1 year, you will not be 1% better. You will not be 10% better. You will not even be 100% better. You will be 37 times better than when you started. This is not motivation. This is arithmetic. 1.01 raised to the power of 365 equals 37.78. Conversely, if you decline by 1% every day, you will not slowly fade. You will collapse. 0.99 raised to the 365 power equals 0.03. You will be nearly destroyed. The same tiny percentage working in opposite directions creates radically different destinations. This is the compound effect, and it is the reason why many habits, executed consistently, produce results that seem impossible. Most people understand compounding intellectually. They know that money invested grows exponentially over time. They know that small contributions to a retirement account become large sums decades later. But they fail to apply this understanding to their habits, their skills, their daily actions. They see each day in isolation. They judge each workout by how much stronger it made them today. They judge each writing session by how many words it produced this session. They judge each healthy meal by how much weight it lost right now. And when the immediate results seem small, they conclude that the effort is not working. This is the great deception of compounding. The results are invisible until they suddenly become undeniable. Consider the story of Dave Brailsford in British cycling. In 2003, Brailsford took over as performance director of the British cycling team. At that point, British cyclists had won exactly one Olympic gold medal in their entire history. One medal in 76 years. They were considered mediocre at best. No British cyclist had ever won the Tour de France. The country was a cycling afterthought. Brailsford implemented a philosophy he called the aggregation of marginal gains. His approach was simple. Find every single element that contributes to performance and improve it by just 1%. They redesigned the bike seats to make them more comfortable. They tested different fabrics for the racing suits to find the most aerodynamic. They taught riders the optimal way to wash their hands to avoid infection. They painted the inside of the team truck white so they could spot dust that might contaminate the equipment. They tested different massage gels to find the one that helped muscles recover fastest. They even brought their own pillows to hotels so riders would sleep better. None of these changes seemed significant in isolation. A slightly better pillow does not win races. A marginally more aerodynamic suit does not create champions. Hand-washing technique is not headline material. But Brailsford understood what most coaches missed. When you aggregate hundreds of 1% improvements, you do not get a 1% total improvement. You get exponential transformation. The results were staggering. Within 5 years, British cyclists dominated the 2008 Beijing Olympics, winning 8 gold medals. At the 2012 London Olympics, they won 8 more golds and set 9 Olympic records. Between 2012 and 2017, British riders won 5 Tour de France titles. A team that had been irrelevant for 3/4 of a century became the most dominant cycling program in the world. And they did it not through one revolutionary change, but through hundreds of microscopic ones. This is the 1% weapon, and it is available to you right now. The average person dismisses small improvements because the immediate payoff is invisible. They do one push-up and feel no different. They write one sentence and see no book forming. They save $1 and see no wealth accumulating. So they conclude that small actions do not matter. They wait for big actions, big opportunities, big transformations. And while they wait, the people executing small actions daily are quietly compounding their way to dominance. Elite performers understand that consistency beats intensity over any meaningful time horizon. The person who does 10 minutes of focused work every single day will outperform the person who does 5 hours once a week. The math proves it. 10 minutes daily equals 70 minutes per week with no gaps in momentum. 5 hours once a week equals 300 minutes, but with 6 days of mental disconnection between sessions. The daily performer builds neural pathways continuously. The weekly performer lets those pathways weaken between sessions. After a year, the daily performer has compounded 365 sessions of improvement. The weekly performer has completed 52 sessions with constant restarts. The gap is not close. Here is what makes the 1% weapon so psychologically difficult to wield. Compounding operates on a delay. You plant the seeds today, but the harvest comes much later. And in between planting and harvesting, there is a period that James Clear calls the Valley of Disappointment. This is the phase where you are doing the work, but seeing no visible results. You are improving, but the improvements are below the threshold of perception. You are compounding, but the compound has not yet reached critical mass. Most people quit in the valley of disappointment. They expect linear results. They expect that if they put in 10% of the work, they should see 10% of the results. But compounding does not work linearly. It works exponentially. The results are backloaded. The first 30% of the journey might produce only 5% of the visible outcomes. The last 10% of the journey might produce 50% of the visible outcomes. People who quit at 30% never see the explosion that was coming at 70%. This is why systems matter more than goals. Goals encourage you to evaluate progress constantly. Am I there yet? Have I achieved it? Systems encourage you to focus on execution. Did I show up today? Did I cast my vote? The person focused on goals sees the gap between where they are and where they want to be. The person focused on systems sees only today's execution. And when today's execution is successful, they are successful. They can survive the valley of disappointment because they are not measuring themselves against the distant outcome. They are measuring themselves against the daily process. Here is the practical application. Choose one area of your life where you want to see transformation. Now identify the smallest possible daily improvement you can make in that area. Not the biggest improvement, the smallest. Something so small that it requires almost no effort. Something so small that you cannot fail. Now commit to that microscopic improvement every single day without exception. If you want to get stronger, do one more rep than yesterday. Just one. If you want to read more, read one more page than yesterday. Just one. If you want to write, add one more sentence than yesterday. Just one. If you want to learn, study one more minute than yesterday. Just one. These increments seem pathetic in isolation, but you are not playing an isolation game. You are playing a compounding game. And in a compounding game, consistency is the only variable that matters. 1% better today seems insignificant. 1% better for a week seems barely noticeable. 1% better for a month starts to feel different. 1% better for a year transforms you into someone unrecognizable. And 1% better for a decade makes you legendary. You now understand the 1% weapon. You understand that small improvements compound into massive results. You understand the valley of disappointment and why most people quit before the explosion arrives. You understand that consistency beats intensity, that daily beats weekly, that microscopic beats ambitious. But knowledge without action is entertainment. You have spent this entire book learning principles, absorbing frameworks, understanding mechanisms. Now comes the moment of truth. The moment where learning must become doing. The moment where understanding must become execution. The moment where the person you have been reading about must become the person you actually are. In the final chapter, there will be no new concepts. There will be no additional frameworks. There will only be a choice. The choice to execute or to remain where you are. The choice to become or to keep dreaming. The choice to kill your weaker self or to let it continue running your life. The talking is almost over. The execution is about to begin. Chapter 10. Execute or die trying. You have two choices right now. Execute what you have learned, or let this become another book that changed nothing. There is no third option. There is no partial credit. There is no maybe later. The decision between transformation and stagnation is made in the next 24 hours. Not next month. Not when you feel ready. Now. Because if you do not act while the iron is hot, you will not act at all. The spark you feel right now will fade by tomorrow morning. And when it fades, your old patterns will be waiting. You have everything you need. You understand that motivation is a visitor, not a foundation. You understand that action creates emotion. You understand the 2-minute runway. You understand that the snooze button is a referendum on self-respect. You understand that every action is a vote for your identity. You understand that systems crush goals. You understand that 1% daily compounds into 37 times yearly. You understand everything. The question is whether you will do anything. Here is your assignment. Choose one mini habit. Just one. Make it so small that your brain cannot resist. One push-up, one page, one sentence, one breath. Attach it to something you already do. After I brush my teeth, I will do one push-up. After I pour my coffee, I will read one page. This is habit stacking. The existing behavior triggers the new behavior automatically. Commit to 30 days without exception. Not most days. Every day. The habit is so small that missing it is a choice, not a circumstance. You are not too busy for one push-up. If you miss, you chose to miss. And choosing to miss is voting against your new identity. One habit, one trigger, 30 days. No exceptions. The person you were when you started this book can die today. Not metaphorically, functionally. The neural pathways that held you back can begin weakening today. All it takes is one vote in a different direction. Then another tomorrow. The old self dies through 1,000 tiny defections. Each mini habit is a defection. Through accumulated defections, a new self emerges. Stop waiting. Stop planning. Stop consuming. Start executing. Your weaker self has controlled your life long enough. Today it dies. Not tomorrow. Today. Execute.